Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Brian here. Today we're checking out how Brian Johnson auditioned for AC/DC. Recently we're doing a lot of AC/DC reactions on this channel, and I thought this would be a cool video to check out, which is, it's a video that we don't usually do like this on the channel, but hopefully you guys do enjoy it. And yeah, I was actually really interested of the story of how it happened, so without further ado, let's get into it and check it out.
When Bon Scott was alive, he was with AC/DC.
Yep.
You were a guy in a band called the Geordies.
Geordie.
Geordies.
Geordie,
Was
yeah.
that how you said it?
That Geordie, yeah.
You know, it was an obscure kind of band, right? They weren't doing all that well. And you had even said you were almost at the point where you had no money, you were living with your parents, you were in your 20s.
That's right, 30s.
At your 30s.
30s, you're living at home.
Yeah, you were living with your
Wow.
parents.
Loser.
Yeah. you were living with your parents, and you'd even said, you know what, I'm going to give it another couple of weeks, but if it doesn't work
Strong
out,
words.
That's right.
I'm going to open an automotive business.
Which I did.
You did.
Aye.
Well, how do you go from the Geordies to AC/DC? Bon Scott dies. Who knew to call you from AC/DC when old Bon went?
First of all, there was a fan from Cleveland, to my eternal debt, I thank, Mutt Langer, who kept saying, listen, you
Mutt
gotta...
Lang?
Mutt Lang, he said, you got to try this guy. And Bon Scott himself unwittingly told the boys, he said, of all the rock singers I've seen in England, there's this kid called Brian Johnson who played with when he was in the other band.
Yeah.
And we played together, and we got on well, me and Bon. We just had a pint and we went our separate ways, and I never saw him again.
But that's very generous of him to go around.
It was very nice of him. And,
Some lead singers would be possessive.
got such
and
an
not
interesting
mention
accent.
The good news singer, you know.
but yeah, I think he had a gig, you know.
Right.
his
He
gig
was secure.
sick.
Yeah.
But he just...
I guess he was in the
you know, it was
right
a very
place at
nice
the right
thing to
time,
say.
huh?
So they put the three together and said, we've got to find this
you
guy.
knew the right
So
people.
I got the telephone call in my office, and this woman said, is this Brian Johnson?
Yeah.
And I went, who's this? And she went, this I cannot say. Because I'm phoning for you must to come to sing in London.
It was a German woman, I think. Yeah.
And I said,
Top secret.
I said, well, for which band? She said, I cannot tell you this. I said, but, well, I'm not coming down to London.
No.
I cannot tell you.
She called you for the audition and
Yeah.
says, I cannot tell you
The name
who
of the
is the
artist,
band or nothing.
I said, well, you got to give us a clue. She went,
The German
okay,
accent.
The initials are AC on CTC. And I said, so it's AC/DC. She went, I have said too much.
Who was she, Ava Braun?
Well, no, we called her Olga from the Volga.
You auditioned in front of the other guys, right?
Yeah, well,
Olga.
I still wasn't going to go down. I was still worried about this music. I said, you know, listen, I'm 32. I'm past my sell-by date for rock bands. I'm
Right.
an old fart. And
Right.
She went, this is the man we're after.
I like this woman.
She was... I never did see her.
But you went
She's kept
because
in a box.
you went because it was AC/DC, and
Well-
you knew that was a good paying
Well, it
gig.
was a good thing, but you got to remember the boys were like a cult following. You know, they had a cult following.
That's true.
They played college TV, and you know, and everybody loved them. But you know,
They weren't as big because they
No.
blew up after your album, Back in Black.
Yeah, but everybody loved them, and they were just breaking in America and everywhere. And just after that call, 30 minutes later, I got a call from a guy. And he says, Brian, you remember me? And I said, sure. He said, well, I'm doing jingles now. Would you sing on a Hoover advert? And I said, how much? And he said, 350.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta
He said,
do.
with residuals. And I said, I'll come down. And I went down and I phoned up the boys. I said, I'll come down and do it on the same day. So I went in and did this. The new high-powered mover from Hoover. It's a beautiful mover. There's £350. Thank
Is
you very
that
much.
right?
And then from there, I remember coming out the studio and just saying, gosh, it's getting late. I have to get back to Newcastle, which is a 5-6 hour drive in there.
Yeah.
Or do I walk across that
Are
street
you from Newcastle?
to Vanilla Studios?
even know.
That's right. Well, on the one hand, you had to
And
get back to your parents'
it's
basement.
AC/DC.
But I made a fateful decision that evening. I just said, bollocks, I'm going to walk across the street. And I did.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
And I
And
opened
that's
the
how it
door,
happened.
and there was 4 guys sitting on chairs with the big Marshall amps behind them, looking quite miserable because they've been waiting for us, you know. And,
Yeah.
and I came and I said, guys, and they said, are you Brian from Newcastle? I said,
Did he made them like wait
I am the
for him?
and I'll never forget Malcolm, God bless his cotton socks, came over and he gave us a bottle of Newcastle brown ale.
Uh-huh.
He said, there you go, me son. I know you like that. I said, mate, I could kill this. And I drank it. We sang and played.
So
And the
you
rest was
drank,
history.
you got a little loaded, and then you started to
One
play with
bottle
those
of
guys.
brown ale loaded? Oh, you must be kidding.
So you start to drink with the boys, you bond with the boys, and do they start playing AC/DC songs?
We
or
did do. He said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, you know, Nutbush City Limits." And they said, "What?" I said, "I like that song."
Nutbush City Limits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mal says, "Yeah, I think I can do that, mate. I'll just give it a little shotty there, you know." And I played a few chords, you know.
Yeah.
And then I started rocking it.
Oh, I love
started
that accent.
singing. I got goosebumps. They got. I started going wide, and everybody suddenly started thinking, "Whoa, what's
Maybe we
happening
got
here?
something
What's
here."
happening here?"
And so did they hire you on the spot? They said, or did they play the game with you? Oh, why don't you go home? We'll think about it. And or did they say, look, this is
No,
it?
it was what happened was I said, "Thanks very much, lads, for the sing." I said, "Wait till I get back to my band. They're not going to believe I sang with you guys." But thanks very much. And they went, "Where you going?" I said, "I got to get home, mate. I got to open the shop up in the morning."
That's right.
They go, "You can't leave."
Right.
I said, "Why not?" I said, "I've really got to go." And they said, so the manager chased us out. I was going, "Bye-bye, lads. Thank you." And they were going, "The fuck?"
So you get into AC/DC, and you get in the studio, and how long does it take you to record?
6 weeks.
6 weeks for the entire album.
6 weeks for the entire
How
album.
did they
Isn't
know
that the
they could
magic?
write together?
They don't. Sometimes it's just
impressive.
Get in there,
Just
get
get
it
in there
out.
and do it.
It was probably the most magical time in my life. I knew something was happening, but it was happening so quick I couldn't grasp it.
Could you grasp that this was going to be a huge album?
Absolutely not. No, I just know one thing. The first song I had,
I mean, if you go in 6 weeks from recording, jingles for a Hoover to playing an
Right,
AC/DC, recording probably one of, if not the biggest, like rock albums
it shook
ever.
me all night long.
crazy.
Wow.
And I remember sitting there, and this is when my passion with cars comes in. The first line I wrote was, "She was a fast machine. She kept the motor clean. She was the best damn woman." And I went, I'm writing about cars again.
Right.
And I give it to Mal the next morning. He's going, "Hey, are you writing about cars?" I went, "No." I said, I'm trying to the women in the car. And he said, "No worries, mate. It sounds great."
You shook
Why
me
we
all
didn't.
night long was the first song you wrote with those
First
guys.
song I wrote with them. And I said quite cockily the next day after I'd heard it, the first rough mix. And I was sitting, because we just had a little cassette player in this little house we had. And then the next morning, Mal put it on again. He said, "I'm going to have a listen to this again, mate." And I sat and I just went, "Do you know, I think that's about the best rock and roll song I think I've ever heard in my life." And I went,
Damn.
"What?" I said, "I'm telling you, I think that's the best
You
rock
feel a
and roll."
little crazy saying
I
that
know,
because,
because I was the new boy. And he
Right.
said, and Mal said, "You could be right, mate."
Alright guys, so that'll be it for the video. If you want to check out the original, obviously the link is down in the description. Yeah, it was just really cool to see his history of how he became, the singer for AC/DC. And I have a feeling when he went there, he was the guy in charge, even though he was, the new guy. He was just auditioning for them. He made them wait for him. He was like, "Alright guys, I'm leaving. I'm out of here." And then he recorded the song and he's like, "Yeah, that's the best song I've ever heard." Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to check out some exclusive song reactions and live show performances and stuff like that from AC/DC, the link is down in the description for Patreon. I want to say thank you very much for watching. Thank you to all the lovely patrons over at Patreon for supporting the channel. Special shout out to Angel Cat and Marianne for being the top 2 patrons. And I'll see you guys in the next one. So stay safe, much love, take care, peace, and